Yeah, what's up? It's gonna be a half day for me for sure. I'll probably hop off when Mario gets on. Need a nap. I got like 30 minutes of sleep. Unlucky. Alright, that is open. It's a super important area for ES to be able to maintain. If we start to see any weakness below 250 on ES, we're probably in for a decent amount of downside, probably to 225, another 25 points. If we can hold here, I could see us going up and retesting our gap at least. So just gonna give this a little bit to develop. Right, we're just opening right at our zone of importance here. This 262 to 251 on EOS. Dude, I slept a lot this weekend, but then I was incredibly well rested, and then I couldn't sleep. It's just one of those. I like completely eliminated my sleep debt this weekend, and then I just like didn't get any sleep. Yeah, exactly. Back to square one. A pretty clear buyer at 138. ES is leading down with Russell though. Again, if this 251 goes resistant, we're probably headed down into this like 225. We really need to see buyers continue to show interest here. Pretty strong divergence between ES and Q at this on this open. Heck, he's trying. Buyer's still pretty present here at this 138 on NQ. This guy fails. Looks like a rotation back down to 115. Guy can't hold this liquidity here on our footprint. Buyer's off sides at 38s now. ES holding below our 51. See what happens into this retest here. I think this is a great first risk off if you are playing off the 251 or the retest off of 130 on 138 when that buyer flipped. Probably headed down to our ETH low here, but it's always good to risk off one. Yeah, there you go. This is ETH low on ES as well off that failure. We're halfway to target here into 225. Watch to see a retest of ETH low. We're going to get it. See what happens here. Big pop. Might get stopped out. We'll see. We do not want higher lows to build here. We need to see us take out lows. Or this is going to be a secondary risk off with a failure from sellers. Right, what we don't want to see is this holds and then recover our offer above, which is what it looks like it's trying to set up for. We need to see sell side gain the momentum here, get us back below this ETH low, and then take out these lows ideally, or we're just going to retest our supply above, which is just not great. Just comes back up to our original entry. Failed to get back over our 30-second opening ranges so far, just lower high. We're looking to see if we can get below these ETH lows on ES and NQ for a pushback down to our low of day. We can do that. We should be able to go down to secondary targets. If this holds, then there's no change. Buyers still present at our ETH lows, and we chop between 238 and 251 on ES, and 80 and 128 on NQ. Need to show weakness below ETH lows for more. Pretty bearish open so far. Hmm. You can see sellers trying to aggressively step in here to push us below our overnight low. Or sorry, our ETH low, yeah, our overnight low. You can see them aggressively trying to step on the gas here. We'll see if they can do it. We need to see a very clear offer and take out of our lows if we're going to continue down to secondary targets, or is this just where buyers will continue to absorb? We need this acceptance below. Again, this is that 38 level on ES. That's your range low. Your range high is 251. We are currently holding our ETH low on ES and Q. Sell side cannot get below our 80 here. It is desperately attempting, but so far getting absorbed so far. Need to see a bit more from sellers. Lower highs have been put in. Just want to see lows taken for continuation. If you didn't risk off on the first attempt when I told you to risk off, again, this is a great area as we retest lows. Take off a little bit more. Leave runners for continuation. See if we can take these out. Low taken on NQ and ES. See if we can hold on retest on offer or just straight flush. We'll see what they want to do here. So the ideal setup is we see this buyer that was very present here before, now our offer, right? So, oops, punctual. So as we push into this, we want to see, ideally, this edge hold, our offer step in, and then rotate us down to this lower pivot, right? Where these buyers were absorbing, we want to now see our seller take in size and then push down. If they fail to do this, right, all we're going to be doing is re-entering our auction and then rotating through because these guys will be trapped, right? It's the same principle. So same thing on NQ. We see these buyers that were present here before. We want to see on this retest, this become our sell side and push below for new lows. This traps our buyers here as we get absorbed in, and then we rotate down. They fail to do this, we will just rotate back up. It needs to be known, which is what looks like we were attempting. See what happens here. I don't have any news, but Trump is speaking right now. This is how I am currently set up. Still just into my original position, took off a bit more on the break belows, just in runners. Trump has not said anything that's bullish. Another failure at our range highs, back to our range lows. Slow grind.
US stocks extend fall. Nasdaq now down about 2%.
He is. I'm risking off one more here into 30. Just leaving a runner now. Almost at target here off of our failure at 251, like we talked about, pushing into our target of 225. We show weakness below 225, probably have room down. My next area is 205, right? So it's just, we opened at our major pivot, we waited for that weakness below, and we understood that we were headed down in this direction with the failure here.
1.6%.
For the NQ trade, it was much easier to gauge because we had an offside buyer at 138. Once we saw them flip, it was an easy entry playing off of them as resistance on reoffer here for this rotation down, and then it's just being patient and waiting for this to play. We know we're not bullish until we see interest above our 30-second opening range. Until then, it will always be a short for me. Just back into our offer. There's no signs of life. ES has failed our key pivot, and Q is below our 30-second opening range. Russell is in a decline. We go down. This is target here, 225 ES. Great risk off. Move stops down. Call it a day.
One minute to go now till we're expected to hear from ECB's Centeno, and also less than a minute till we get the US leading index change month on month.
I mean, if you got in, then you're in a good spot. I'm sure we continue down, but a lot of liquidity resting at this 18K flat. Makes for a really solid target, and we watch to see if this 225 goes offer. If it does, then again, I'm looking for another 20 points down on ES.
Ten seconds.
News in 10 seconds.
Still waiting. Minus 0.7%, minus 0.7% lower than the forecast of minus 0.5%.
You're shorting off of 225 off that failure and offer, you're almost halfway to target here. So this is what that market move looked like from Trump's comments earlier, just with it overlaid. It's the same stuff from earlier, nothing new. But just to give a bit more context. See if sell side can get us below this 960. Seeing some buying attempts. Essentially, one more leg down. I'm flat. I'm waiting for reactions here on NQ. Bit more buying than I wanted to see at that 960, so I'm just going to give it a minute. Nothing has changed in our overall trend. I just had one contract left, and I didn't want to give much back. Offer sitting at 970 right now. Bigger offer above at 1800 or 18k. Sorry. See how we interact here. Expect a bit of chop, to be honest. What's up, Gav?
Also, did see the prior revision for the US leading index, prior revised to minus 0.2% from the original prior of minus 0.3%. We have also posted out the leading index report March 2025 on the financial news feed for you to read through.
Just a battle at the 60-70 on NQ. Buyers trying to make it supportive, sellers trying to absorb buyers. Not sure who wins it out yet. If we get over 70, I fully believe that we rotate up to 18k on NQ. If offer is able to hold here, then we get another leg down. Just a little uncertain as of right now. Back to our offer here at 70. See if we can flip it or if it holds offer. Needs to be like a pretty clear high or low here at 60s if we were going to pop. For buy side, you'd want to see something like this. Oops. And then we figure out what we do from here. For sell side, nothing's changed. We look for the reoffer and then new low. If offer maintains 70 and we flip 60s again. Russell diverging with this movement. NQ attempting to hold the 60, 70 offer, still maintaining. Russell pushing for lows. Keep an eye on that divergence. Could be our signal for another leg down. RTY holding lows so far, rotating back up. $70 offer still maintaining. I don't know how many more attempts we have. I think if we fail to breach flows on this attempt, that will probably take out that 70 high. I need to seek liquidity higher. Need to see this broken ASAP. If you are playing off
Shane Brown
70,
from Mexico
holy,
says
well, that's
they
loud.
didn't reach a final
This is
agreement
first
with
risk
Trump
off into our lows. We want to see lows taken pretty aggressively here. Move stops down if you are playing off our 70 offer. I'd love to see
S&P 500
a
extended
retest
declines
of
to about
40s.
2%. Nasdaq 100 down about 2.4%.
But we'll see what happens. We might not get it if we just accelerate from here. We push through next target. If you're short off of 225, we now push down into 205s. Watch to see if that holds off for rotation down to ADR at 192.
So just a reminder as well, at the bottom of the hour, Trump participates in an Easter egg roll. We'll get a video and we'll put it on the feed if we do find one. Probably should do.
Huge Easter egg roll. Watching our retest into 40s here, boys. See if offer holds.
Shane Baum says Environment Minister meeting with US EPA on water issue. And we do have a video. We'll put it out on the feed for you. Again, Trump and First Lady Melania host White House Easter egg roll. And that video is out on the feed for you to watch. So obviously we'll keep an eye out for any sort of commentary about Powell, anything to do with the trade wars, or anything important in general.
Surely the Easter egg roll is going to have tariff news. If you are playing off of the 205 offer on ES, great first risk off into our lows. If you're playing off of the 40 offer on NQ, great first risk off here, move stops down or break even at least. Watching our Russell retest on failure to get back into this range. Not a lot here. Gotta wait for a breach of lows. I'm gonna go grab some water. Be right back.
So 5 minutes ago, Tim were expected to hear from Trump at the Easter egg roll. The video is out on the feed for you to watch. So seeing US stocks extending losses, S&P 500 down about 2.1%, and Nasdaq down about 2.6%, and Dow down about 1.9%.
Looks like buyers are trying to flip this, see if they can do it or if it holds. Sorry if you can hear me crunching on an apple. Holy shit, the comments on this live are so ridiculous, dude. Holy.
So surely expected to hear from Trump again. Well, the video is there on the feed.
You guys see the Pope died today? It is crazy that the market is waiting for Trump to come out to roll an egg, by the way. Been really trying on this attempt. Man, my Metamucil separates so quickly. Never happened before. I don't know if I like a bad batch or what. I can kind of sip on it, not have to chug the full half gallon. The bid is low key screwed if we push below 900, 905 with this last attempt. So yeah, we see what we can do here. I honestly don't know if they're gonna give this the breakdown until Trump gets out, but there's clearly someone absorbing, a buyer absorbing into 905. If that flips offer, we've got a decent amount of ammo above us with the 40 sellers still present. If 905 continues to hold as supportive and we don't see a strong aggressive sell below, then we're probably range bound. Then we'll probably have to seek like 970 before we seek lower. That'd be my guess. So again, very clear offer is sitting here at this 40. We're keeping an eye to see if we get a lower high here and if we can get this break below and hold, or if absorption continues here and we show any interest above. If we do, then we're going to have to go back up to our offer up here at 70s. And then we look to play either side again. Just keeping an eye on this. Russell's led the last like 3 downside moves, so just really pay attention to these oscillations as we retest the low. If Russell starts to lead, we have a move. If it doesn't, right, if we bounce the lows, then not a lot here for sellers. What should I take? Just like a tablespoon. What do you mean? I just fill up like my 32-ounce water bottle, tablespoon of Metamucil in it.
According to Axios, Trump is expected to speak with Netanyahu today and discuss the hostage deal and the nuclear discussions with Iran.
You should be risking off your long here if you're in one into 60 to 70. You get continuation if Russell can break downtrend. If it doesn't, nothing has changed. And all we're doing is trapping here for rotations back down. You need to see like a pretty clear shift back above this.
US natural gas futures extending losses and prices down by about 5% to an 11-week low on record output, forecast for mild weather and low demand.
One scoop in a real small glass and just chug it. A little bit. It's a bit too much of like a loogie when it's that small amount of water. It's a bit hard for me, texture wise. Hmm. I don't know how you do it before bed. I'd wake up and like pee in the middle of the night for sure.
Nvidia shares extend declines, last down about 5.1%.
Is 6% high or low for Zine? I've never had it. Oh, it's either 3 or 6. So that's the high one, 6. For first time Nick user, why would you? Why? That's my only question. Why Zin? Why start using Nick? Why any? I need answers. Uh, I promise you, the cool kids are not using Zin. The nicotine addicts at desk jobs are using Zin. That's who's using Zin.
S&P 500 consumer discretionary sector falls 3%.
So Russell was able to do the breakout. We were able to shift over this. Bid is winning with the lack of selling pressure. Huge, huge. When I mean huge, there's a huge seller at 18K on NQ. I don't believe in this move whatsoever until we show interest above that. This is Russell and the view up as resistance. This is target for any longs, I would say. If we can show a shift over our ETH low and our view up here, I'll, again, have a lot more faith in this move. But until then, this is target, right? See what happens now. We'd want 60 to 70 to be like a very clear bid now. If we were going to hold this for high or low.
Falling about 3%.
And even if this does hold, guys, as we push back down into this, again, huge seller here at 18K. So you want to be taking off some profit if we do find a bid here and we push into here. If we can flip that, then again, we have more upside. Until then, just sense. Lost some momentum at Russell VWAP, classic. Watching our retest here of our breakout. See if our 60 can hold, or if this will flip back to resistance and then rotate down. This is where we look for that bid on NQ. It needs to be pretty strong into this like 55-60 and then lift back over, or this is just going to flip sell. Watching Russell for a bounce. Remember the sell happened with the loss of momentum on RTY. If RTY doesn't have momentum, then we go down. If RTY can find a bid here on this flip and do the same bounce that we did for our projection, then we're fine. Right, but you need to see a pretty aggressive bid to step us back over 70s here on NQ, or again, this is just going to offer and then rotate down with the failure with Russell. $30 seconds till 15s. Offer's doing its thing. If I had to guess, we'll probably do one little bounce here, and we'll into the new 15s. I would want to see like a lower high and then a continuation down if this was going to hold, right, for this action. Basically, just retest that buyer that was here at our 60-70 that's offsides now. Watching as we push into our new 15. This idea is invalid if we just straight sell and push below this 905, 910. We don't need the retest if that happens. Then we just look for a secondary leg down. This move that I'm projecting, or I've pathed, is just a retest of POC of previous candle, by the way. That's all it is. So it's just like, oh, is our seller now here where the buyer tried? If so, then lower high, and then we look for a continuation down. If this flips bid again, right, then we recover our POC, we look for the bid over our 70s, which is our value high of previous candle, then we can go up. So we'll just watch this as we approach, see if there's anything here. I think it's very clear there was something there. Need to see a break of the lows, though. Trump is still not out, by the way. The band is going to run out of songs. Great risk off if you're playing off of the 60 offer. And rotation down. Back down to our lows here. See if we can breach. Russell, full rotation. Failure, and push down off of our loss of momentum here. Retest, push down into our lows. See if we can take them out. ES leading. Russell and NQ retesting lows. See if Russell can follow through. Actually breach and hold for the maintain. If it can, then we get continuation across the board. Again, this is where buyers have been absorbing. We need to see the offer sweep through this 905 and then show interest below, or we're just going to absorb here. This is why it's a great risk off if you're playing off of pathing and the Russell loss of momentum. If we can get the continuation, amazing, right? We want to see this happen relatively soon and relatively quickly, with speed. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. So testing into it now, see if this absorption's still here, or if we can flip it. Crazy to me that like potatoes are having a hard time growing. Oof. I leave my potatoes in the pantry for like a week longer, and I've got spuds everywhere. No interest below our 905. Crazy. I think we're just waiting on RTY to figure out what it wants to do here. Man, these apples that I bought are so bad. Like the most flavorless mid apples. Organic apples. I think it's just the variety that I got that's bad. I don't care about organic. Buddy, I want all the GMOs in my fruit and vegetables. You think they added those genes so that they could taste worse? Hmm. I don't know about that one. What's up? No, I'm not eating a Honey Crisp. They didn't have them. Very sad. That was my 420. I didn't do anything on 420. That was the one day I was not intoxicated this weekend. I was telling these guys earlier before I got on, but I caught fully up on sleep this weekend, and then yesterday into today, I got about 30 minutes of rest. So it's all screwed up again. GG's. Got my sleep debt down to 20 minutes. Now it's back. Feels terrible. Yeah, I got 11 hours from Thursday to Friday. Huge sleep that day. Edible. Feels good, man. And then 9 hours Saturday to Sunday. Huge. Other edible. Sunday to Monday, no edible. Zero sleep. No, I can't. Melatonin, bud. My problems could be solved by some placebo. Life would be better. Can we not talk about drugs? There are kids here? I hope not. Would it help to know that I'm medically prescribed THC? Does that make a difference or no? Acetaminophen. Dude, you gotta be careful with that one.
Okay, the video is zoomed in, and Trump has arrived at the bench. Excuse me, at the balcony. So we'll hear from him pretty soon.
Now we are talking. Russell leading down, rejected our pivot, targeting 50.6 below. Again, NQ needs to get below 905 for any continuation. Came right back up to my entry on NQ. They're in the birds, man.
And Trump is now speaking at the mic.
Used his government name. That's crazy. You're not screaming at your AI chat. You're not using the AI, but you're right. You still have thank yous and pleases left in you. You just haven't used it enough. You aren't calling your LLM an absolute idiot when it gets it wrong. You just don't have enough experience yet. 905 still holding on NQ, no change. Buyer still present there, willing to absorb. Just full rotation, same as before. I did not see that though. That's
Just seeing in general US
sad.
crypto stocks rise as Bitcoin climbs about 3.6%. And that concludes Trump's speech.
Huge Trump speech. Holy. Did I miss anything in chat? Am I going to EDCLV? No. I don't know if you could pay me go to Las Vegas. I don't know if I'd accept if the entire trip was free. I'm not sure if I'd go. We agreed on this? What? Show me proof that you got me to agree to go to Las Vegas. Las Vegas is like the culmination of everything that I hate in the world. Wow, that was such a huge stream. Oh, camera's back. What is going on, cameraman? Okay.
Trump speaks at the White House Easter event, saying the EU has been fine.
He's talking to reporters.
I don't think there's a live video, but we'll see if there is another one. We'll pop it out as soon as we can.
And this
The economy
905,
has been good and energy is down.
surely we can breach it, right? I don't know, man. Well, if you really wanted my entry,
And Trump ends remarks to reporters at the White House.
we have now tagged it twice. This Fox stream is scoffed. Do you think there's a secret agent, like a Secret Service agent, in that bunny costume? What do you think? He's got like an MP5 inside. He's in like full Juggernaut armor from Modern Warfare. There's your sweep through. Let's see if it can hold or if they absorb again. Russell leading. And Q below 905. We just want to see them maintain this like 905, 910 ideally on any sort of absorption. Sorry, on any sort of retest. Just move stops down or look for this reoffer if we're going to get it. Finally swept through.
Fed bids for 6-month bills total $3 billion. Fed bids for 3-month bills total $3.3 billion.
That wasn't very convincing. Let's watch our retest into the seller, 905, 910. This was yes right into our target here, into 181. ES levels have been really good today. See what happens on reoffer here. I'll be right back. That's unlucky, Grotto. Did you see the new Crocs that just came out, by the way?
10 minutes away from the bottom of the hour, we get the 3-month bill auction data, 6-month bill auction data. 3-month bill prior high yield of 4.225% and a prior bid cover of 2.96, and the US looking to sell $76 billion in the 3-month bills. 6-month bill prior high yield of 4.060% and a prior bid cover of 2.8, and the US looking to sell $68 billion.
I'm trying to find a picture. Maybe they're not actually Crocs. I really got stopped out on my runner there. Unlucky. See if this offer can hold. This could be good. I like the look above and then the failure and the look below. See if we can take out the lows. We need Russell to follow through. Nice, nice.
5 minutes away from the bottom of the hour, get the 3-month bill auction and 6-month bill auction data. 3-month bill, prior high yield of 4.225%, prior bid cover of 2.96. 6-month bill, prior high yield of 4.060%, and a prior bid cover of 2.8.
All right. Trapped buyer into 920. Seller at 905. New zone. Oops.
Surely expecting the 3-month and 6-month bill auction data.
New 15s are opening. Offer is trying to hold 70s.
Trump says tariff negotiations are going well. Just speaking here on his Truth Social, we're going to make lots of money. So Trump touts cars and steel tariffs. Okay, so just a little bit of a correction there. It doesn't look like that's from his Truth Social, so I'm not sure where he's speaking at the moment. Trump says also had good meetings on Iran.
This is pushing to our ADR target here on NQ. Edge of our ADR low here
Trump
at 950
also good
or
meetings on
850.
Ukraine and Russia.
I think
Trump is doing a great job.
if 850 doesn't hold, we're headed down to our reversion target down at
High yield for
814.
the
Would
3
be my
month, 4
guess.
spot 225%, 4 spot 225%, with a bid cover of 3 spot 010. And the US selling $79 billion of the 3 month bills and awarding 39% of bids at high. 6 month bill auction data coming through with a high yield of 4 spot 050% and a bid cover of 2 spot 93. So the US selling $71 billion of 6 month bills and awarding 30 spot 34% of bids at high.
I feel really bad not getting back into this. It's such an easy trade. What's up, Screw?
And Trump says that tariffs are going well and everybody wants to negotiate. Nasdaq extending declines, last down about 3%.
Yeah, go right ahead, man. What's going on in the bottom right? It's a footprint chart. It's a chart type. Quick Google search of that will give you everything you need to know. But it's basically just showing you where transactions took place inside the candle. It's probably the simplest way to put it. What's going on with the volume profiles? What do you mean? Like what a volume profile is doing, or yeah, I need a bit more context. Where do I think the nodes are? I mean, I don't have to think. It just shows you where the nodes are. That's the whole point of the profile. So I have two profiles on my chart. I have the daily profile, which is just giving you the transactions that have occurred throughout our regular trading hours, not Globex. So this is just where the most have been. This is your POC, right? This is your value high. This is your value low. So yeah, I mean, it just tells you where the nodes are. The secondary profile I have on here is only showing the volume for the candles that I have on screen. So it's going to dynamically change based off of how many candles are showing on the screen. So how I utilize it is I look at our daily profile and I compare it with how our shorter time frame nodes are playing out. So where is volume kind of starting to build in the shorter time frame? Right? So when we see it like this, and I have less context,
When asked about the EU, says we'll end up having a deal.
it just gives me an understanding of where our current auction is kind of taking place, so we can really clearly see that it's taking place between these two areas, right? Our edge high and edge low of this HVN, or the high volume node, and we should be expecting some selling pressure in this LVN above us, right? This is the top of our auction. So can you just give you a reference point of like where we would need to breach and hold for rotations up, and where we should expect selling to be short term? Just based off of like where the auction high is and auction low is for the shorter time period. That's how I usually utilize it. So I reference our higher time frame, understanding where most of the volume on the day has been, and where our larger time frame pivot would be if we did go upside. And then I reference our shorter time frame with this visual range profile on the side, right,
So
to understand where shorter time frame transactions are taking place.
Live.
And I just compare the two.
Still on the White House lawn, or the Easter egg roll.
Just gives you a little bit more context.
Okay, so it's a bit late now, but he has just finished speaking to reporters. There was a small live video of him speaking.
Like if you only had this as a reference point, we know where we want to see sellers if we're going to make a lower high, right? We'd want to see them here at the mid in our node. This is our full distribution. When a sell is serious, we're going to be expecting a lower high here, and then we're going to be looking for an offer to develop below for rotations through. And that should make sense with just PA as well. But you can also just see it on your node structure. And what happens if we fail here? Sell side fails. Well, we'll then be looking for this to be our bid point, and then we'll look for rotations up. But we understand like where the current auction's taking place and where volume's developing out. So between your volume profiles and your footprint, it can give you a good understanding of where transactions are occurring and where you should be looking for seller or shifts of value. That's all. Just context for trades. I've been trying to learn how to use VP visible range, and I don't know how to read it correctly. I mean, it just depends what you're after, right? Like you can utilize it how I just explained it, which is understanding like where your shorter time frame nodes are being developed if you're scalping. Um, I would always have a daily profile on regardless, so that you have an understanding of where current value is on the overall day and play off of your edges. But other than that, not really much else there. There's a few basic setups with volume profiles that are pretty simple. Just like the recovery of a value area, rotation to POC, et cetera, et cetera. Do you know like the how price works in between in how price trades in value and away from value? Those are really good things to get down. No, not really. And a volume profile is probably not very useful for you in this current state if you don't have the basics down of that. I would look at this. One second. See if I can find something for you.
Trump says good chance of Russia-Ukraine deal this week.
Here, screenshot this. So the gray box represents your value. Value low to value high. Memorize this. Here. And so with this information, also screenshot this. One second. All right.
So just a heads up, with a video that we've already posted out on the feed, that should have, well, Trump is still at the event, so if he does speak again, he should appear up on that video again.
Mm, At this point, I don't know, maybe 9 years, 10 years. I don't know. It's all a blur since COVID, to be honest. Kind of all just blends in. But futures only 2 years. Options before that, like 7 years, and then stocks for the rest. This is PT from our rejection of our 50, just going to our 15 target, our 14 target, whatever, our pathing. Nothing really else to talk about here, guys. Our levels are pretty good. Just into our reversion zone, see if we get continuation. Offer pretty clearly sitting at 830 here. See if that'll hold. And there's nothing more than listening. I love to hear than just a baby crying in my ear on the stream. What is this? Surely Trump doesn't come back and I can close this live stream, right?
Trump ends remarks to reporters again.
Again. All right, I'm closing the stream. How did I learn? Just by doing it, failing a bunch, and then going out of my way to be like, why did I fail? And then learning from mistakes, and then just doing. It's the only way you learn. If you want some really solid material that isn't nonsense, Trader Dale has a free book on volume profiles that I think is really good for basics. You should check that out. Trader and then DALE. DALE, yeah, I think that's it. He's got you just like type in your email address on his website and it'll send you a book for free. Just like basic volume profile stuff. That one's really good. Learn. I think that's a good starter. Also, I'd getting a bit serious here at 810. This look below is a little violent. See what happens here on retest, if they flip it or not. I don't see anything promising for buyers until we flip over like 45 above. If I was a new trader, these are the two books If you wanted to understand like what I'm talking about, these are the two books that I would recommend you look for. This one's free. This one's like, I don't know, $10, $15 maybe. You can get them both on Kindle. But screenshot that. These are great books. Everything else is noise. Man, I am exhausted. I hate the midday slowdown, man. Ugh. Do you do that breathing with your 6 milligrams in? This offer is really trying here. It's like 800, 810, guys. We'll see if it can absorb buyers as we push in. Um, there's some decent size transacting down here. As good as that? Stormlight Archive is kind of a one of a kind. Mm, I mean, I would tell you to read the King Killer Chronicles, but it'll never finish, so then you're just gonna be disappointed like me. But man, is Name of the Wind an amazing book. If you want a really decent fantasy series that is finished and is like a pretty light read, I really like Lightbringer. It's by one of Sanderson's students, Brent Weeks. That's a really good series. It's a bit lighter than Stormlight Archives or that universe. I mean, there's always just like Mistborn, bro. Get the full Cosmere. Man, if Camille would get into manhwa, I've got some bangers to recommend for him there. But yeah, definitely King Killer Chronicles is so good. But it'll actually never be finished, so you're just gonna be disappointed. But man, is it good. Why won't it be finished? Because the writer I sucks. I don't I don't have an answer. There's a reason why I recommend Sanderson to everyone who's like even semi interested in reading is because like he pumps out books. So if you like his writing style at all, you will be forever satiated because he writes like no other author
May meet Wednesday with Ukraine and European allies on peace plan.
in the fantasy world. But some people don't like his writing. It's a little too risk averse. Which part did you miss out on, Zeno? I mentioned a bunch of authors. The good one or the bad one? The guy who sucks or the guy who's great? The good one, Sanderson, Brandon Sanderson. Great fantasy writer. The bad one, who's still good, Patrick Rothfuss. Great writer, but he'll never finish his books.
Further detail into this, the US is likely to hold discussions in London on Wednesday with Ukrainian and European officials as Trump pushes for a deal to hold Russia's full-scale invasion, according to people familiar with the matter.
2 books out and 3.5s out.
Rubio and Witkoff and Keith Kellogg are expected to meet with foreign ministers and national security advisors from France, Germany, the UK, and Ukraine, according to the people who are familiar with the matter.
Yeah, same. But fantasy is good to break it up. Let your mind go a bit. Nonfiction's great, but it can be a bit much. Fourth Wing, I haven't read that. I heard it's basically like Harry Potter but with sex. Wheel of Time is great if you like his writing. It's a bit long though. A little bit long-winded, but Wheel of Time is a great series. Sanderson worked on Wheel of Time. He actually is writing for it now that author's dead. Or he finished it, I should say. I mean, there's the books that are out of his are so good. But yeah, I understand. You want fantasy or are you fine with sci-fi? Hmm. I mean, you reading Dune and all those books is a achievement for someone who doesn't like sci-fi. That's a lot. This flip of 810 could be really important. I'd like it to develop out a bit more for a potential right side of V if they can hold it. Um, we're still just into supply here. We still need to get over that 40, 45. But I like this higher low that we're developing on the flip. A lot of punishment can be derived here if we can maintain this. But we still need the break, or it's just going to trap. Think of this as supply short term. Yeah, I mean, Game of Thrones is great. I could give you like 50 different series that are decent, but aren't going to be at like the same level. That's why I'm like only mentioning a few things that I think you'd be interested in. I've read so much garbage.
CBOE volatility index rising 5.14 points to 34.79.
Yeah. Again, this is why I stick with Sanderson. The only author that actually finishes things. It does like any high fantasy. And like the only other authors that are doing fantasy right now are all like with the there's like 1,000 female writers right now that are doing like romance fantasy, and it seems to be working out really well for them, but I just it's not my flavor. But they pump out these books. Holy. Yeah. So far, this buyer's just getting absorbed into this 20 to 30. We need to show interest above. We can start to really punish sellers if they can hold this and build it out. If not, it's just going to be a failed bid and then a rotation back through, and we can play the balance. Um, Not a lot here for me personally. I don't think that a long is a bad idea if you're playing off of this halfway back and this edge with Russell leading up. My worry is that there's not a lot left momentum wise if Russell finds resistance here, right? So my biggest concern is a loss of momentum here on Russell and then a rotation back through, which will lead to our absorption maintaining here on NQ, and then we get this rotation back down. That's my biggest concern right now. So I want to see a bit more of a punishment from sellers. Right now, it's just like this really slow grind up. And yeah, we might miss the initial move if the squeeze happens. That's fine with me. I'd rather not be on the wrong side of the trade on an edge with the loss of momentum. But if we can show interest back above and the ability to build after we pop, I think we'll have a lot more room to play with. So just don't go crazy. Just wait for the setup to happen. Wait for something you're comfortable in. I'd like to see speed. Who's calling me? Spam. Did you read Red Rising, Camille? No. It's like a mix between uh fantasy and sci-fi. More leaning on the sci-fi. It's good. I mean, the first three books are great. It's that's where most people stop after the first three. But there's a sixth and a seventh on the way, I believe. Those are good. Do you live stream every day? Yes, but only for free on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can catch me live. But I stream too for the Discord every day of the week. I'm not going to be on for too much longer. I'm going to hop off when Mario gets on and try to take a nap. catch up on some sleep. Had a really good morning. Probably get like one more trade in here if this loss of momentum holds on Russell with NQ holding this absorption. But I am pooped. I feel like you guys are setting up for a pretty solid afternoon. Hmm. Do I have a good track record? Yeah. Just tune into the streams, man. If you feel comfortable, if you like what I say, if you think you're learning something, sweet. If you don't, dip. But give it a couple shots, right? Again, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm here. You're catching the tail end. I'm very sleepy right now, but I'm usually on from 10:30 to close on most days. Today I started at open, so I'm gonna be streaming till 12:30 probably. Then I'm out. But most days it's 10:30 to close. Two minutes left on this candle. Buyers still trying to push up. Russell pushing into our value edge. This is a really important moment for the market. Jesus. New 15's opening here, 5 seconds. Testing into POC of our sell side candle now on NQ. Russell into our value edge. And ES into our balance before the drop. So this is a big area to see if this is going to be supply here as we push in on ES. We had a drop. This is our balance. or basing, right? And then another drop. So as we come up into here, it's a big test to see if sell side is going to take control again as we push in for another rotation down, or if we can flip this and make this little auction here supportive. That could be really big for us if we can recover this node and start to rotate up. So again, we are looking for a recovery of Russell value here for a bullish outlook, or sell side is going to take control here on this edge and start to rotate us down. So really important that we see buyers start to take charge here, or offer is going to start to absorb, and then we will rotate down. Keep an eye on Russell for these higher lows. Again, ES into our basing and resistance, and Q still into our resistance. Watch this POC retest on NQ from previous candle.
Ukraine Zelensky says Ukrainian delegation to hold talks in London with the UK, France, and US representatives on Wednesday. Ukraine is ready to move forward in talks as constructively as possible. Easter made it clear that it is Russia's actions that are prolonging the war.
Okay. POC a previous candle holding so far. Need to break highs. Have I used Quant Tower? Yeah, I tried it for a bit. It's good. What's my favorite thing about it? The footprint's pretty decent. The DOM's better than Trade of Eights. The UI is super clean. You have the ability to have multiple data feeds, which is nice if one goes down. It's just decent overall. I don't know if there's anything that I like absolutely love about it, but it's a solid platform. Trading view I just do for charting. I trade on Trade-O-Vate. This all looks fine still for a bid. I just, again, I need to see us push over this pivot on NQ for me to care. Excuse me. Oh, it's like slow motion. Yeah, there's no way I'm clicking that link. No embed? No thank you. Do you think the current downtrend still has room to continue? It definitely could. I think we're at a very pivotal spot here. This is our ADR low on both ES and NQ, and we are desperately trying to defend it in these lows. But if we lose them, then it'll be a trend down for the rest of the day. So it's a super important area that we're transacting in right now. For me personally, to determine if we're gonna continue down or not. But yeah, I definitely think that there's potentially room if this buyer fails. But if we can sustain our value edge here on ES, then there's not a lot of room, right? We have to battle now with this value edge that we've built out here on ES. And as long as this is maintaining, we can chop sideways here for the rest of the day, or we can recover this and go back up, right? And then we target up into this 181. So it's really up to participants here if they want to send this thing down again. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely room if they can get through this. Right now, buyers are short-term in control. Sell side is holding it just fine, though. There's not enough information for me to say more than what I just said. We're in an overall downtrend, and we are in a lull of the market during lunch hours with low volume. So a lot can change very quickly once volume and volatility steps back in. But where we bottomed out makes sense to me for the short term. And now we just need to see if buyers exhaust themselves here and sellers take advantage of that, or if buyers can push through this pivot, and then we can punish these sellers at these lows and rotate us back up for a bit of a reversion trade. This is an area that just requires patience. I think our pivots are very clear on ES. Like, we need to see acceptance back into this auction here, and we need to see a very clear bid step in and rotate us up off of this for any longs that are conceivable. Scalping, we have a very clear range as well. Again, this is our value low edge on our daily profile on ES at 158.50. We are currently balanced between our previous auction that took place here and our low auction that took place here, right? So we are chopping in between two auctions, and it's filling out to form one singular node, right? We're fixing structure here to build out a low node. Once we figure out which way we want to go, once this node has been completed, we'll have a clear path when we start rejecting these tails and rotating down, or pushing above this tail and then rotating up. Just balance right now in this chop between this auction above and this auction below. Once Russell starts to either break down or push back up, we'll have a much clearer understanding of what we're going to be doing in the market. Nothing has invalidated for sellers in the higher time frame, though, for today. Like, our supply is holding on both NQ and on ES above us. Nothing invalidated on either side. So we're just going back down to this liquidity that's present here into our 8-10, just like before.
Trump is to meet Walmart and Target executives as tariff hanged spreads.
If we start to show interest below our value edges, then we can play. Until then, this is where we expect bids to be.
Trump meeting with retailers.
If we're going to remain in balance.
And Trump is to meet on Monday, Home Depot and Lowe's representatives.
Yes, and then Q holding our value edges so far, watching for a bit more of a reaction here from buyers and sellers before we figure it out. We have 30 seconds till new 15s. Again, just a shitload of volume has been exchanged at this 8-10 level on NQ. Just watching which way we chop around it, see if we can see someone step in again. Sell side wants to step in again and shove this thing down again off of 8-10. That would be a great sign for sellers. If bid is able to maintain this into the close of this candle, then nothing has changed about our balance. Like to see some sort of shift. Bid was fine in 810s, just rotating back up to this absorption here into 40s. See if offer holds or if we can do something more. Russell still holding higher lows. ES held our value edge at 158, rotating back up to our highs. Just full oscillations across the board. See if we can breach or if we reject again to continue and maintain our balance. Russell leading us up, pushing into our offer here on NQ, into our value high of this candle, of our sell side candle, downside bar, into 55s. ES into our 169. I'd like to see a bit more from buyers. Retesting our 40 buyer here. This guy at 40 can't sustain. We head to 25.
Good morning, Monday enjoyers.
Yo.
What's up?
Start 25 liquidity. Let's see if the bid can hold here. I'm leaving in a minute.
Okay.
I didn't sleep. Tired.
Fun.
Yeah. This is where sell side either puts in a lower high or we can see a very clear shift over 50s. Retesting our 40s offer. Oh, yeah. Did you respond to Teflon this weekend?
I believe so. Let me double check. I went through a decent amount of.
Dude, this grind up is so slow. Holy.
See if we can get through these LVNs. ES is in. This NQ is in too.
I don't use that. So no, I can't do that. I don't trade forex. We're really just gonna like slow grind up the target. That's so annoying. Alright, I don't care about this move. I missed both my entries. So I'm gonna dip and just go take a nap.
Enjoy your nap.
I'm assuming this is just going to revert to VWAP on Russell, and it's just going to be a slow grind up until then, but we'll see. You've got a POC shift on RTY, which is pretty convincing, below us at this 45.9. As long as that's maintaining is supportive, I don't see why the downtrend would, the uptrend would break. So this would be my main level here. As long as this is a bid that goes offer and flips, then you're in trouble for the short term. But I'm assuming that your target is just up here. This, as long as that maintains. Just this push into 59 to 56 on Russell. But yeah, just look at this retest. All right, I'm out. Goodbye.
Goodbye.